Okay, looks like we're rolling.
Yay.
And by rolling, of course, film. Film is rolling. That's what's rolling.
Film. That's my grandfather
Hello,
used to call it.
Kayla.
Hey.
We're rolling. Nobody's rolled film on anything, except for movies, maybe. Indie movies are still maybe shooting on film. Everybody's probably shooting digital by now. But we still like saying rolling, because what do you do with just a static sensor? Nothing.
We're on.
We are on. I don't know. Full disclosure, I don't know how long this show is going to be, because the more I think about it, the less I have to say about it.
We can talk about it and then other things.
Let's see what happens. As time goes on, I'm getting less and less. I don't know, energetic about the show.
About the live shows?
Kabam! Any shows in general, I feel like I need to not revamp, but reinvigorate it with something. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I said, we got right here or right now. We're going to be talking about Control. This is the green room. My guess is we'll be waiting the full 5 minutes.
We've got 2 people and 3 likes. So
Swish. Should have took notes. Probably not, though.
you never take notes.
No, but I used to. I feel like I had more structure when I took notes, but I thought,
Usually, yeah, that notes are structure.
yeah, well, half my notes ended up on the floor anyway. Like kazoos. Yeah, people love kazoos, Kayla. You will tune in.
Vuvuzela.
All over the world are like clamoring for good kazoo music.
Somebody must. At least one person must love the kazoo.
I'm sure. There's probably a club on Facebook. But on an unrelated note, I'm so bummed I found like a little stash of Halloween decorations that we probably bought last year in preparation for this year, the day after Halloween.
Oh.
So I hung them up anyway. I'm keeping the pumpkin up. There's a sign over there. There's a sign that says boo over there, so watch out. It's frightening.
Boo.
Picking boogers. Didgeridoos. Those things are expensive. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I'm sure.
I gotta pick up a didgeridoo to see if that fits. This thing's like $1 million. Oh, tambourine. I don't know why I was reading this trombone, and then I was thinking trombone.
Bew.
Classic callback. Another classic callback here on the show. Classic drink on the show, but it's the green room, so I'll probably still do it on the live anyway.
Well, yeah.
But I'm less on the hook here, and there wasn't even a hook in the first place. I should get like a bedding music.
A what?
Like
a low music?
Yeah, like
background?
some soft, like some green room music, something, Hang drum. What's a hang drum? Is that the thing that like you wear? Like not obviously not a steel drum, but like a bongo type thing, like one of those giant gourds you wear out with like a sling?
Oh.
I'll take my answer off the air. First time caller, long time listener. Me and my hang drum group gonna be in the park on Saturday. Wanted to know if you wanted to chat or maybe bang out a sesh. Hang drums. I suppose I could have Googled it, but I feel like that'd be unprofessional because we're so close to starting the real show. So I guess we'll have to wait on Kayla and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't want to get out of the thing because I don't want it to mess up my
But I'll just assume for the time being I'm right until that waveform collapses in the negative. It's been 5 minutes. I'm going to push the button. Nothing happened. Huh. Oh, wait. Hold on. Stand by. Stand by.
We're in the green
Reach
room.
the
Oh boy, what a rocky start as always for the show. Hi guys, it's Flamingo Friday. My name is Dave. It's Everything Everywhere. Let me introduce Krista Zwing.
Hi.
There she is. So, you know Krista, Kayla.
Hi, Kayla.
A steel drum but inverted.
Like the lid of a charcoal grill.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen one of those. So yeah, okay, I get you. I'm locked in now. So what I wanted to talk about was control, and then I was like, should I get a guest? And I thought, well, who would I go to? Athena, I've put her through the ringer a few times, so she probably needs a rest. PJ, I feel like I'm always up his chimney, so I didn't want to bother anybody else with this. So it's just me and Krista on this one.
Yee.
So I guess here's where everybody's sticking point is. When it comes to control, what do you want to define it as? Do you know what I mean? So, I like in scope. Let's just start with scope. So when somebody says control, like if somebody says I have control over X, control implies complete, right?
Yes.
Like anything less than total control is influence
Yeah, it's not control.
at best, maybe,
Yeah.
let's say. So here is going to be my selling point, and maybe this will be it after I say it. If we're going to go by that definition, and we meet on that, I don't think that anything under our, external anything. How do I want to put this? The only thing you could really control are your thoughts. But people always say, I control my hands. I control, everybody says, I control a motorcycle, I can control a car.
Right. I can control my hand drinking this thing. Yeah.
So here's how I'm going to justify why I'm going to be telling you this. Everything you do is a manifestation of thought. So you can control your actions by directing your body and then various devices like motorcycles and cars and lawnmowers and etc. Video games. But if
it all starts with thought.
yes, so you can control your thought and then send it out. But let's say there's an accident and okay, let's use a motorcycle for example. If you say I'm in control of a motorcycle as you drive it down the road, here's the thing: in any situation, there are an infinite number of factors. So there's weather, there's wind, there's other drivers, and each one of those people is a variable. There's different varying road conditions. So basically what you have over this motorcycle, I would call is influence. You can manipulate it under your body weight, but if the road decides to give out, or if you don't see some gravel and there's so many things out of your control, that's why I'm saying, or that's what my stance here is. If you don't have complete control over something, I would call that influence. And the only thing you have complete control over are your thoughts. And even then, people will say, I don't control my thoughts. People will throw that to whoever.
I feel like in the motorcycle metaphor, you have control over that until something happens.
Well, not
Then you
even
don't
until
have
you're
control
working.
anymore.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. What you have is a cooperation going on.
It's working with you and how you
Not only that,
manipulate it.
you are working with the forces of gravity. You're working with the road. You are working in conjunction with your environment. So you don't have control over jack crap. You are working in conjunction with it, and you are, when conditions are favorable, able to manipulate that motorcycle on the road. But given another crazy driver, or like something kicks up a rock and hits you in the eye, or like whatever, somebody's tire blows, there are an infinite number of things that are completely out of your control that can take you out or knock you down or do any number of things to you.
Yeah.
Out of your control. But we don't think about that. We focus on our two hands on the handlebars and moving it back and forth.
Because that's the only thing that we can control.
Right. So we have influence over the ride that we're taking, but we have no control fully. Because if you had full control, that'd be completely different. Like you would have...
Well, you'd be predicting the future.
Yeah, you'd have like godlike abilities to control the weather and the wind and other, like everybody else's individual interactions on the road. You're out there, basically fending for your life and saying, yeah, I'm in total control. But I would say more or less you have influence over your situation and not total control. And so then we can talk about,
What Kayla say first? Read what Kayla said first.
So does control mean you have the TV remote, or does it mean you're the one who gets the batteries for it? Well, no, because you're still at the mercy of your own will, no matter if you, because I realize you're being funny, but it's just a tool. Anything that you do, you can say you control, but if, like, let's say that's a good point though. If you pick up a remote and the batteries are dead, you don't know, that's out of your control. You're going to go, I don't know what's happening here. You realize how little influence you have. What you're doing is cooperating with your environment. You're not, like, let's say in a different context, we can talk about like a relationship where someone is in a controlling relationship. How do you define control when it's all just an idea? So he's very controlling. Well, you can make demands. He, she, they, whoever is in the relationship that is the domineering one can make demands. But it takes two to tango. You need to play the submissive part for them to be controlling. It's a cooperation.
Yeah.
Someone can only take control if you let them. So we've got some chime. I look at it this way. You have control over the motorcycle until outside forces remove your control. Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Your control is then still considered cooperation because you're working in conjunction with the environment.
It's like involuntary cooperation, though. Because if you don't know.
Well, you and your heart, how are you cooperating? You're not consciously thinking about beating your heart.
Right.
But it's doing it. But you can't control it. It is out of your control. Can you stop your heart? You can make it beat faster, but only indirectly. You can give yourself a scare. You can run a little bit. You can do some exercise, and you can bring up your heart rate, but you can't will your heart rate up or down. So how do you explain that then, right? That's something inside your body that you have some control over subconsciously, but consciously you have zero.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not something that I'm doing. Like, I'm doing it. My body is doing the things that it's doing to beat my heart, but I'm not.
Yeah, your subconscious and conscious minds are working together. So your body breathes you for yourself. Your body pumps your heart for yourself. Because if you had to wake up every day and switch on all your systems and turn on your vision and turn on your hearing and make sure your heart's all pumping and everything, you have no time to do anything else.
Right.
So that's the thing. You control over what? Number one, your thoughts. If someone says, oh, I have control over someone or someone has control over me, you're in a cooperation. If you're in an abusive relationship or a manipulative relationship, like, power is an elusive energy. And when you say, oh, I'm being controlled by so-and-so, they're very controlling. Well, who's making like unless they are actually doing you physical harm, in which case that's a different scenario. I'm talking about mental only, mental manipulation. This goes out the window with physical crap. But if you say, oh, they made me do this, or someone made me do that, how did they make you? It was a cooperation. They may have aggressively asked you or even forcibly told you to do something.
But you still did it.
But you have to acquiesce for that control to exist.
But I think that when it comes to people, though, I feel like that is a like conditioning kind of thing, like a Stockholm syndrome or.
Well, it's completely, yeah. You're going to be a product of your environment. And if you are somebody on a spectrum of personalities, and, obviously these people find each other all the time because they're like the polarized parts of magnets. You get a manipulator really good at it and a manipulatee really good at being manipulated. They always find each other because they're part of the same puzzle.
Yeah.
No one can take control over your life unless you willingly give it to them.
So what about like, I don't like kings and queens and stuff, because they can control a whole nation.
Well, it's all just an idea. Like what happened with kings and queens and stuff is like God knows how long ago the idea started of we need someone to keep everybody in check. Then the mythology grew, and then they were related to God. But it's all just an idea. The royal family of any nation is no more or less a human being than you or I. Maybe a little more inbred in the DNA, thanks to that,
right.
That part of history. But so what? Like, just because, I'm a queen, I'm a king. Well, we only say that because we've been saying that for God knows how long. If I don't recognize the crown, what? So what?
Or
but
like
it doesn't
presidents,
matter.
or even like
Right. We all agree on these things because we need
structure
in our society. So Kayla says, let's see. Socrates said the only thing we can truly know is that we don't know. Maybe control is the same thing. We're only realizing we have absolute control over nothing. Yeah, basically. There's a concept essentially that I forget the actual name of, but somewhere along the lines is the more you give up control, the more you let others do their jobs instead of reaching out and trying to manipulate them. Not only do you move swifter through the world, but so does everybody else who would be gummed up by your works in their gears. You know what I mean? When you release control, you actually get a lot of control, because just think about this in your own life. No matter where you are, you've run into these types of people. The type of person who is constantly reaching out to make sure you're doing the right thing. No matter, they could be a parent or a coworker or a boss or whatever, but they're one of those micromanagers. And you work worse under them, don't you?
So you mean, yeah.
Yeah, when they're constantly over your shoulder, pecking and gnawing and looking and picking, and you are a shitty employee because they are terrible at managing. All the best bosses you've ever had have a hands-off approach, I guarantee.
Yeah.
When you're trusted to do your thing, bingo.
Yeah, my boss now, I have zero pressure from her.
Yeah.
But I give myself the pressure because that's what I...
Control, or the illusion thereof, destroys everything it touches. Ethereally. Obviously, if you want to say, we can still say physical control we have some influence over more. Like I'm controlling this. Woo! But that all started as a thought. But no, I didn't formulate the thought and then be like, I'm going to pick up the thing and do this. It's just all a natural action. But everything starts that way. So you can control your thought, and anything beyond that you can't. Even your own body sometimes. Like you can say, well, I can still lift my arm up and down. Well, that can be taken away from you at any point. So at any point, a million things can happen to you. But by the grace of whatever, most of us get through life cooperating quite well with everything around us.
Yeah, it's... The thought of control is a weird thing. I've never really thought about it before prior to I don't know, the last year or so.
Mhm.
I you don't think about being controlled by employees or friends, even like or employers, but
Mhm.
even friends. Like,
But people can do it subconsciously because they, grew, like if you grew up in a surroundings that fostered that sort of behavior, no matter what your intentions, your behavior will tell on you.
yeah, like I had growing up, I had a girlfriend, and her mom would constantly be wanting to basically live her life through her daughter's eyes. So like she would always have her have parties at her house, like basically controlling her on having fun, to tell her that she wants to have all these people over. She should have all these people over her house and have fun and have parties and stuff.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's a matter of some people are clumsy about it, some people are covert about it, but it can only be given away. You can only give away your power. That's all you can do with it. It's always yours to do with whatever you want. So if your consciousness or your awareness or whatever you want to call it is high enough and you're able to recognize people's intentions and people's motives, they can't control you, quote unquote. But how foolish is it that we say, oh, well, this person made me blah, 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 blah. My husband made me do this. My wife makes me do this. And you think, well, how?
Right.
You're cooperating. It's just what you're doing is complaining about the cooperation. By saying it, you're making me. Oh, it's the victim card again. I'm being made to do this by, oh, help. They're controlling me. But how? Like without mind control or without a gun to your head or without the threat of imminent harm or dismemberment or whatever. Well, how are they doing that? Because you're letting him. You're giving it to him. So that's just it. Control is another concept that is yours to do with as you please. But if you don't recognize it as that, then of course you're going to be the victim of a lot of people who do recognize it and have no scruples. Because if I realize that there's no such thing as control, people are breaking down the door to give it to me, and I don't want it. But if you're constantly reaching out to take it, people will want you to keep their hands off. Everything works like that.
It's interesting.
It's like everything else, what we've been going over. Every time you apply pressure to a system, it gums up the works. So if you're trying to force literally anything, you're guaranteed to kill it. It's like so this show hopefully is one of these, but like every idea is like a little seed, and you throw the seed out into the universe. Boom, you have a little thought. When the conditions are right, you can make the actions to make that germinate. But if you're constantly trying to put a stranglehold on the idea to get it to germinate when you need it to or when you want it to, you're guaranteed to kill it. Can you make a plant? Like if I wanted to point a plant out in the other room to you, could I point it out to you and say, make that thing sprout a leaf like by tomorrow?
No, yeah. You can't.
Yeah. So just leave things to their own nature. And we've got a perfect example about that kind of in this house. So like back when we were kids, you would wait all day for the mail, and sometimes you go out and check it and it would not be there. You go, oh my gosh. And you have this terrible feeling inside of when's the mail going to come, especially if you're a little kid and you ordered something and you're expecting something. Well, now we've got this app that'll give us control. Basically show you where your package is at any given moment. Whoa, like Amazon does this too. And it's the illusion of control because you go, oh, I'm watching as it's, but you have no control because every time it goes awry, we all go, oh God, I can't believe they said it's not so much, we had the control because once it's taken away, we go, oh, realize we had no control at all. But the promise that it was going to be delivered on, that's where we get pissed about. Then when we realize our control was actually at zero, we go, well, I'm still pissed about the promise. Damn it, Amazon or whatever, USPS or FedEx or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, think about that. Like in any situation, whenever you're getting tight or whenever you're getting heated or whenever your gears start to grind, what is the sand getting thrown in there? It's usually you. It's usually you trying to reach out and be like, you should be doing this or you should be doing that, or you're trying to reach out and mess with somebody else. Even it could be something as small as like when you're driving down the road and you see a political bumper sticker that does not align with your personal views, and you go, and you start thinking up scenarios for the person driving that car. You gain nothing but lose control to that person.
Well, yeah, I guess. And they don't, yeah.
Because they're like, let's say, whatever, they've got a really insulting bumper sticker. Someone's got a really offensive t-shirt. They're looking to provoke a reaction. And if you get tipped by something, you lost control. You've given it to them. Bam, you lose. Sorry, you lost.
Yeah, but in that sense, in that metaphor, they don't know.
Doesn't matter. They know by virtue of wearing or doing whatever they know is provocative. They know they're going to piss off a certain amount of people, and that's all you need. They're not doing it to see if that happens. It's butter on the toast. If you get to see someone get pissed at the thing that you are proclaiming, then boom, bang, bang. But it's more just like a low hum of smug satisfaction that you're pissing somebody off.
Like the moment they bought that bumper sticker.
Right.
They were like, oh, yeah.
But that's just a form of control. They're seizing control, your emotional control from you. They gain literally nothing from it. The dude selling the sticker he probably got $10 or something. You lose control, but nobody realizes it probably because you're sitting behind them in traffic or you're at in a public place. Their t-shirts out in the open.
Yeah.
So you lose your control, which is so very important to us all, and they may never even know they've gained it. So how important is it? And what is it? It's a thinker, right? Because you can... there's lifestyles out there that revolve exclusively around control, and some to a perverted degree. But that only exists because both parties are willing.
Yeah. So in your bumper sticker metaphor, the person buying the bumpers, I know we're probably getting way off the beaten path, but like the person that is giving them this bumper sticker, do they have then that control over that person?
No, they don't give a shit. Like, don't overcomplicate things. The person selling the bumper sticker is looking the idiot in the eye and knowing that in 4 years they'll get to switch brands of bumper sticker and sell to the other side.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. So don't even worry about them. Plus, if they are one of those people, then they're a dyed-in-the-wool person like the person who bought the bumper sticker. So it's like meets like. But there's no reason to go and search down this rabbit hole. Like, now, what do you think the people in the print shop, when they see the colors are squirting out of the machine onto the paper as it flies by, what do they think? We don't need to worry about that. All you got to worry about is you and your center and what you can learn from other people and not what you can learn by way of doing actually nothing. But like, look at the core. And once we've gotten that, fine. Then we can go down to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy, and like the person making the ink or growing.
Because the control has to start somewhere. It doesn't just start like.
Well, it depends on the situation and the circumstance. In any situation, someone will have perceived control over the other person. If you're in the bumper sticker metaphor, if you want to label, like, slice up reality like this, the person selling the bumper sticker has control. He's making the dude buy it for $10.
Right.
If someone steals it, then they have control over it. That's the thing. Control is not a thing unless somebody else agrees to you having it. You cannot seize, unless, like, again, there's always going to be exceptions because you can say, well, if you're arrested, they'll definitely take control of your life.
Yeah.
There are things, yes, there are, whatever. Let's not get in the reeds. The point is, the control you think you have, you don't. It's cooperation. And when the cooperating part is taken away from you, then you realize, oh, shit, That's not how shit works. But if you still like to say, I have control over XYZ, you can. But if at any point that can be, like the floor can fall out from beneath your house without you saying, yeah, then I don't know how much control you had. Let's see. Control starts with the person who makes the adhesive for the bumper sticker. Ah, yes. That's the core of the whole conspiracy. Boom. You're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't
Control.
stick, then...
What is glue if not a form of actual physical control?
Oh, yeah.
Kayla, bring in the profound physical prop jokes. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. Like that, when you boil it down, all of these concepts are just that. Just because we agree on how big or small certain ones are, they're, unless you can point to it and it's made, like you can go, okay, then we can agree and see and feel something. It's just a concept. That's what control is. But that doesn't devalue it necessarily. Maybe that's what everybody gets out of this too, is when I talk about this stuff like this, they say, well, if you don't have control, then blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying it changes anything about reality, right? It's just the way you look at it. If you realize the power you have over your life, the point is that you're supposed to be taking away is that not that you don't have any control. It's that you control exactly one thing, that is you, that perfect vessel. So if life is not what you like, you can control your actions toward a better one. Bingo. But if you say, well, my brain, I can't, my thoughts, the past, the future, my parents, my siblings, my coworkers, my this, they have control over me, then yeah, sign yourself up for a lifetime of shit, because they will not ever care whether you find value in yourself or anything about yourself. Because if they're getting, you're like their ATM energetically. If someone has control over you and they can make you do things like give me a ride to the airport or give me $20, let me borrow your ATM card, let me borrow do you have a shirt or I can borrow whatever. They're using you, but sorry to say, you're cooperating with them.
I mean, yes, I agree with that to a certain extent. But there's things that, like with work stuff or certain employers and things like that. If something is forced for you to do,
no one's making you work there. The buck still stops with you. 50% of it is yours. You can say, well, my work made me do this. Well, yeah, there are conditions that places have for you. Schools, works, shit like that. But you enter in that agreement. If they say, hey, to work here, you got to do X, Y, Z. You can say yay or nay. You still have the power to, and if you want to, you can say, oh, no, I'm a victim. I want it both ways. I want my way, but I also want to go against the rules. Well, no. That's not how this works. Like in this dynamic, there is control because all of the people at the company, say, have given up control over certain aspects of their life to work at this company. Or like when you go to school, you drop certain rights. I had a history teacher and a government teacher who loved reminding us of that shit. So you drop certain rights at the schoolhouse door. But what rights? They're only things that we imagine are ours anyway. And what do you really lose? When I walk onto a school or I walk out of high school, like when I was that 16-year-old kid and my government teacher would say, you lose certain rights here on the school grounds. I mean,
yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just so, for my example of having to, the time when COVID hit and I had to work that shift in the ER.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't do that, I don't know what would have happened. If the worst case scenario, I would have gotten fired or something. But that obviously comes with consequences.
Yeah.
So that's
you had to cooperate. It was forced cooperation. You could have said no and quit. You had 100% authority over your body in that scenario. You could have said, no, I don't want to do this. And if you have to fire me, fire me. But fear said, we're going to toe the line. So you cooperated. No one forced you. That no one. I don't recall anyone breaking into the house in like scrubs with guns, being like, "It's time for your shift." No, like you realized what was at stake, and you decided to cooperate. But that's what all the things that we do when you make those decisions. You say, well, basically, when someone is controlling you, what you're saying is it's easier to go along and be a doormat than it is to stand up, than it is to say what I want to say. You're making that concession. You're saying, okay, I won't stand up. I won't say what I want. I won't do whatever. You are in control. But who's stopping you? And of course, there's a wide variety and a rainbow of colors all the way to like, the super aware couple, the super woke couple who talk about their feelings every night. And, the slightest perceived, infraction goes with, another hour after hour conversation to make sure the feeling's okay, all the way to like crackheads who are, basically parasites to one another in some way or another. And the one who has the money and the crack has the control. There's a million shades of it. From an abusive relationship to a healthy relationship, we're always doing that dance.
Yeah. Like,
So-
well, same with like adults with kids.
Yeah, it's a cooperative event though. If our son or if anybody's kid wants to keep experiencing the world unchecked, they have to cooperate with certain ideals, and we call those rules. So it's not necessarily control. We don't have any control over what he does necessarily because his mind is his own, but it's in his best interest and it's in everybody's best interest to go along with the established rules, unspoken or not. But that's just cooperation. There's no power involved. I mean, we can say that. We say, oh, the president has power, the Senate has power. But if we all stop listening, but we wouldn't do that.
That's true. Yeah.
We need, as much as we say we hate the things we love, we actually love them. So that's another thing too, is it's just a matter of who has the most control. That's why it keeps flipping back from party to party every so often. Like nobody will have an unbroken run for 100 years. That's just the way it is. It's just the constant balancing of the scale, and it's a shifting of power. But the amount of political power, like let's say if there's a finite amount, it's just like one of those Spencer's gifts where the goo, like the blue goo keeps going. Woo, woo, woo. It just, it shifts back and forth, but it's only a perception. Like what is Bill Clinton not possess now that he did possess as president? Nothing. Something was all ethereal. His name was on some papers, and he could go like, "Hey, my fellow Americans," and play the sax, and everybody loved him. But he could also drop nukes, and now he's like basically whatever. But now he can't drop nukes.
Right.
But it's all just because we agree. We all agree. We're giving that control. We all give away our control all the time to people. But it's more of a cooperative event. Your mind and body cooperate together so you can open and close your hand. The thought process to open and close your hand needs two parts, the thought and the hand. It's cooperating. But if your hand wasn't there and the mind was sending the signal, no control. There's nothing to control. It's a void. Your hand's gone. You need something there to cooperate with. If you're going to say something is under control, what is under control? Something. And that thing is cooperating with the thing that's dominant.
Okay. I can.
Because it takes two. No matter how you want to slice it up, you can say, well, there's always going to be a victim and there's always going to be a domineering. There's always going to be an attacker, an attackee, and yada, yada, yada. Well, yeah. That'll always exist.
Mm-hmm. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, that's it. But to think for a second you have control over anything is just not. I don't want to say it's like, hey, what an idiot, because you're not an idiot if you think that, but you're setting yourself up for a lot of heartache. if I, at every time I drove home from work, thought, oh, no traffic today, I bet. And every time there was traffic, I'd blow my stack because I had predicted, because I was like, I'm going to control this aspect. No, that's not how it works. You realize what's in and what's out. And, if my car stops working, then as much as I want to manipulate my foot or on the pedal or my hand on the gear shift, my control is gone. Like just think about the things that it takes for you to control a car. You need the entire industry that produces gasoline in and of itself, and then all the technology behind cars, and then your ability to learn how to do it and being able to remember that. All of this is highly subjective, and any one of that falls out, and you have none. So we're all just cooperating with each other, but fighting each other for who gets to be up top in each other's minds. And if you're not looking for it, then you don't need it, because everybody's got their life under control, essentially. Like all these people who want to reach out and help. If you ever want to reach out and help somebody, and it's not entirely because you feel like you want to feel like a good person, it's a nice ego stroke. You're reaching out because you want to, I could be help. I could be doing something for somebody. That's a form of control. If you're saying, hey, you have less than, here is something because I have more than, you establish a power structure, and the person with more has power over the person with the less.
If they point it out.
No, not even if you point it out. Because the two people involved understand that dynamic the second the exchange is made. And even before. Like, let's say when we're parked out in Phoenix and there's one of those dudes holding up those signs that says, please help, hungry, yada, yada, homeless, yada, yada. Bam. They already set up a power dynamic, but they're doing it on purpose. They're asking. They're putting themselves beneath you. They're, trying to look shabby. They got a grungy sign, and they're banking on you and your guilt of being above. So your control in this situation actually works in their favor.
So then they're in control.
If you allow them to be.
Right.
What you were doing, they're not in control. They're using a technique to manipulate. They are looking for you to give them control, but they can't control you. Yeah, need help with glitter. But then you lose a little something, because the higher quality of the sign, the less money you get. You want to have a low quality sign. And that's how, that's the thing. Control is just as simple as that. You can say, well, it's as simple as manipulation. Because you can think, oh, I'm in control sitting in my nice car with air conditioning and there's music playing. And you go, that's nice. And then you see this poor, dirty person. Sometimes they have a dog, or sometimes they're not even trying and they just look like a normal person with a sign. But whatever. They're putting themselves on a lower pedestal, creating a vacuum of your conscience. They're playing upon your, I have it so great, I should give this poor sap something.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and so you can see that's just a tactic used for control. But that same person, let's say here's $5 bill to the homeless person or to a maitre d'. So when you give it to the homeless person, I mean, we pretty much already established the homeless person is the one in control, we can say, because they played upon your conscience and your status and sort of suck that out of you. But let's say you're out on a date, you're throwing a $5 at a maitre d' or a hostess or whatever, then what happens?
Then
that same $5 is a flip polarity. Because now you're a big spender and you're in control. You say, hey, here, take this. Thanks for everything. Thanks for your help. Now you are the benefactor, but in a positive way. You're not being guilted into giving the homeless guy $5. You're being boisterous and in giving the maitre d', giving the server, giving the waiter, giving the bartender a big tip. Same money. It's leaving your hand.
But you don't think that they're not using a tactic to give you good service to get a bigger tip?
I'm not talking about other people. We're talking about the same person and the same $5. So when the same person, if you give $5 to a homeless person because you feel bad, or you give $5 to a bartender on a date to impress someone, do you see the dynamic?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And
All right.
so control is not yours and then yours in the same action. You're giving money away. In one, you're doing it out of, you're being guilt tripped. I was manipulated. Form of control. Or you're trying to manipulate someone else. Oh, here's some money. Here's some money. Whether it's just to impress the staff or the person you're with, you're reaching out for control. It's the same action, but it's totally different. So what is it? And when do you have it? It depends on who you're with and who you're cooperating with. They may let you be top this time. You may be top next time, whatever. Somebody is always the dominant. Somebody will always in a decision. If at least two people, one will get their way at least half the time. If, you're fair about it. Some person can get it all the time. But that's not the thing. That's not the point. The point is, it can only be given. It can't be taken. But again, I'm a disclaimer. Like, let's say you're a poor Tibetan and Genghis Khan's rolling through your village with spears and axes. Then yeah, different situation. But
yeah, physical stuff is different.
Day by day stuff. The psychological stuff. Your control is yours until you give it away. Boom. The end. No matter how you want to slice it to where you are the victim, you're still there, right? If you're there, you are in a silent agreement with the person in control.
Yep.
So, do you ever have it? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes you don't, but it's ethereal. And if you give it up altogether, you'll never need it. Why do you need to control any situation? Why can't you just be a cooperating participant in it? Whether you're a parent or at work or with friends or any other situation, you don't need to be in control. You get to be a participant. Who on the roller coaster controls the ride? Nobody on it.
That's true. Yeah. It's the dude.
Yeah, but imagine if somebody or you tried to control the ride while buckled into it. You'd be miserable because you can't. You would just find all the places that you have no control and realize that it's been an illusion the whole time and get angry about it. Instead of realizing it's been an illusion the whole time and being okay with it. Because you never needed it. You don't need to enforce your will upon anybody else for anything else. Every niche in the ecosystem will be filled, no matter what you think of the job they are doing of it. Or how you think it should be changed. Because if it could be better, it probably would, or it eventually will. But the moral of the story is, who cares? You can't control it. Everything that you can't control, let go. Which is a very small amount you got left, basically right up here. So, I don't know, do you ever have it? Even then, you can't, because if you're going to say you can control your thoughts, if your brain has a malfunction or you get hit in the head with a rock or you stroke out, if the organ goes down, the control goes with that too.
It's true. Yeah.
But that's the thing. All these things are possible, but they are not probable. And you don't think about them all the time because they're not going to, 20 times out of 21 times, they're not going to happen.
Well, you don't think about control all the time either. I don't.
No, you do. But you just don't
recognize it as control.
Right.
Like when I have anxiety when we're in the car going somewhere, I know now it's because I'm not the one driving the car, or I'm not the one, whatever. I don't know. I can't control traffic. But I don't think about it like that. I just get the anxiety when it's there, and I can't do anything about it.
Right,
obviously.
But why not think about it? if something like this causes repeated stress, you're obviously giving your control to something. Why not figure out what that is?
I don't know what I'm giving the control to. Aside
Everybody and everything. When you get tense or when you slam on the invisible brakes on your side of the car and do all that zany shit that you love to do over there, it's because you don't trust anybody to do their thing. You can't let go control of people on the road or me or the car or their car or the weather or whatever. You just can't let go of things that you can't even grasp. So you're strangling air in this passenger seat beside me. And I'm like, what? Because you can't control any of it. But you're still having a fit, like as if you can, but it's just not working this time. Every time. But that's you. If you want to keep that charade up, you can. And obviously you still do because it happens all the time. So it must be doing something for you unless you don't want to do it, in which case you'd look and be like, oh, I can't control anything, so maybe I'll just relax.
Well, I don't want to do it. I don't want to have the invisible brake.
Because you're doing it.
It just happens. I don't think about it. I don't think about doing it.
Of course you don't.
Well, like consciously, I don't think about doing it.
No, you do, because I can see it written on your face. It's written in worry across your face. You may not be thinking, I'm about to slam my foot into the floor of this car. But when your foot hits the car, your leg did not act in incongruity with your mind.
No, but I don't realize I'm doing it.
No, of course you don't, because you're too busy doing it. You don't realize you're doing it because you're pumping that shit out at such an incredible rate. You have no time to look at your production. You're so involved in every other car and every other tire and every other tree and rock and cloud and bee and bird and bug.
Yeah. You have to be aware of everything.
Yeah. And how does that go for you? Since you have no control over any of it, it looks like hell from this side when I'm watching it. But how does it feel? Not great, right?
No, not really. It's just something that I'm used to, and I don't think about it as a positive or a negative. It just is what it is, and I don't like it.
Right, but now that we've had repeated and now public session about this, in the future when it comes up again, what do you think?
I'm gonna try really hard not to do it.
No, you won't. Because you still want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
No, you do. You are the type of person who still wants that control. You cannot let go of a lot of stuff.
But I don't have it, so...
I know, but you don't know that apparently. I'm telling you that. Your mouth just said it, but for some reason your brain and body are in complete disarray. Because you are still completely convinced you have control over several physical objects and or people and or things in and around the world. But you don't. And you say, I know I don't. But then your body is flinching like you've always had control, but now it's on haywire and you're like, God damn it. Like it was just a perfect remote control car for your entire life. And now it's like, zzz, 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 and you're like, ah! So, yeah, your hand is completely grasping an imaginary controller and you are working those fucking knobs like crazy. But when you're not getting any result, you're still getting upset that nothing happens. You're not realizing the flaw in the plan, but you're still continuing the process. Mm-hmm. We go, this is. Well, whether it's the speed, whether it's the people, whether it's someone changing lanes or getting too wiggly in the road or whatever it is. In any situation, all these weird variables are pointers to you of how little you control, but you think somehow by gripping the, or biting the seatbelt or any number of other odd rituals that you're somehow going to get the incantation right and the road will clear like the Red Sea and Moses. So as long as you believe that your stress can fix something, that's the control that you think you're going to have and you're going to exercise, but only on yourself.
Oh, I don't think it'll fix anything. I
But
don't
you
think
keep
doing
doing
it that it'll. I don't think me doing that will fix literally anything.
Okay, so you realize it's futile and yet keep up the illusion
I
and the
don't-
ritual.
Because like I said, it just happens.
No, it doesn't just happen. You manifest it. You look around actively. Because when you're on your phone, you're completely checked out of traffic. You're totally fine. You look up and you hunt and peck for things to get agitated over. So you get to say, I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. That person is this and this person. Look at that car. And oh my God, there's traffic. And we should have gone this way. Look at this Google map. Oh my God. All the things you can't control are now coming home to roost. And guess who gets to hear about them all? Just one person in the car with you, my friend. So I get to hear about all the things that you don't control, but still are confused about why you can't. And I go, I don't know. But it's only because you believe you can still make a difference. You still think by worrying it makes a goddamn difference. If I don't, who will? Famous words of you. If I don't, who will? Nobody. Nobody. I'm not gonna. Elliot ain't gonna give a shit. Nobody is going to worry if nobody worries. But if you want to worry, then do it. But don't complain about it to me. Just enjoy worrying, for God's sake. If you like worrying, then worry the shit out of yourself. But don't sit there and worry, and after you're all done eating a big slice of worry pie, be like, I hated it. Then stop eating it. You're in control of that. You want to tie in control? Who's in control? It just happens. We say that a lot. It just. Stephen King's It? What is it? When we say it just, right? It took control. The mood. I'm a werewolf. What? No. It didn't take control of anything. You fed it. You cherry picked. You did whatever it was that got you where you are right now. I never saw strings descend from the heaven and attach to you and puppet your ass around. And then at the end of it, you go, I can't believe I did all that. And I go, well, it was the strings. No, it's always you. It's always me. Everybody is always doing the things that they're doing. But then we look back and we go, how did that happen? We did it. In the moment, when you find out you're doing it, stop it. You say, I'm trying, which is right now, which is nothing. And then when we get to the moment, trying stopped. The trying was supposed to start then. But you started now, apparently, and burned out all your tries. Wait till we get behind the wheel again, then start trying. Hey, what do you say? I'm trying. YouTube, click, click, click. What are you trying? We're not trying anything. You have control over yourself, and you get to control how you perceive the world. So if you're perceiving it as constant threats everywhere, that's what you're choosing to do, and admit it. But as long as you do not admit responsibility for your life, then don't bother trying to change it. If you say it just anytime, you're not ready. Stop. You're done. It does nothing unless it is you and you love calling yourself it. Then I'll accept that as an answer. But it doesn't do shit. Control, cooperation, none of this works without you. So if you say it didn't do anything. You say I just. That's where you start. That's the root. I let myself, or I built up, or it was you. It was you. The I that is you did it. It didn't do a thing. If you set a piece of paper and you draw a boogeyman on it, it will never come to life and scare you. But it might be so well drawn that you have a nightmare about it. What did it do? It didn't do shit. It sat on the table and was a scary boogeyman picture. And you fabricated a dream about it. Did it play a part? Yeah. But you can't say, it got me good. It so got me. Because you were there too. And it wouldn't have happened without you. So you can say, well, you're at least 50%, but at most you're 100% responsible, not at fault. But that's what you have control over, you. And what you take responsibility for, what you think you can do. And if you realize you can't control something, you don't keep trying in vain. And then after you burn yourself out like a candle, go, well, I had no idea I was doing it. Meanwhile, you're wringing, like your hands are bloody because you're wringing a rag and biting it in this, I refuse to believe that someone going through that much physical discomfort is not cognizant of it at least a little bit. But once you realize what you can control and where that boundary is and see how small it is, you go, phew. Like, have you ever had like one of those times in life where you get a big ass, what do you call it? Like a checklist for a school project or something. And you go, oh my God, there are so many things on this checklist because it's all a huge shotgun blast of shit.
Yeah.
It's not that, it's never that, I feel like my camera keeps sliding and I apologize because I'm distracted by it. I forget where I was going with that too. Crap. Sorry.
Big checklist of things, and
there we go.
You're like, oh my God, there's so many things on it.
Oh yeah. Like you realize what is in and out of your control. If you're the type of person that is like a controlling type person, you look at a list and you say, how am I going to do all of these at once? You can't.
Right, it gets broken down.
You break down and you cooperate with the list. The list is not a boom. The list is you and this list of things getting it all done. Everything you do is in cooperation with something else typically. Even so little as walking. You are cooperating with the earth. It is pushing up against you as you push down against it.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something working with you. It's just whichever one you decide has the most power is the one we call in control. And sometimes it's innate. Sometimes it's a relationship that doesn't make any difference. And sometimes it's a fabricated one like humans have with each other. But, and if you don't agree with this, fine. It doesn't matter. Because you don't control me. And I don't control you. So you get to believe what you want to believe. And we all get to believe what we want to believe. And that's the great thing about it. So if you think you have control, the only person who gets proven wrong is you. And we all get to go, I don't care. That's it. Once you check out, once you give up control, you have it. I know that sounds counterintuitive. No one likes to explain it. But once you give up trying to control others and realize you have control over yourself, you realize how much you actually have. Controlling someone else is a hollow lie. Getting somebody else to perform actions at your behest, whether through overt or subterfuge action, why don't you blow all of that energy on yourself where you actually control 100% of? Right? Why even bother worrying about that dynamic? If you give up control, i.e. give up the idea of control and searching for it and trying to get it from people and out of people, you realize you can control everything 100% right here. You're not having to fight someone else's will to get them to be a puppet. You get to be your own puppet. Essentially, you get to pilot your meat puppet in any way, shape, or form you deem worthy, and nobody's will is against yours. But with control comes the idea of power, and power gives people chubs. So we'll always have that dynamic too. As long as there can be an upper and a lower, someone will have the desire to be above another. Power is another thing for another day. But control and how you use it and how you give it away and how you keep it has a lot to do with it. Because once you have control, you have all your power. But if you don't have any of it and you say, well, it or they or them or this or that affected me and made me, it did it, then you're right. Because you're checked out and you cooperated by being the subservient. Like, no one can wipe their feet on a doormat if a doormat was not made to be under feet. Ta-da! Don't tailor yourself to be the thing you don't want to be and then complain about being it. That's what you have control over. Anyway, guys, I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot now, so I think I'm going to check out. Kayla, thanks for sticking around the whole time. I'm sure this was a gas. I feel like I was going to push something or plug something. Maybe I will. I'll plug the other show I'm on. If you're watching this in the future, or I'm sure you've already watched this, Kayla, but watch Raiders of the Lost Genre. I'm going through that back catalog, trying to pick apart ways to make it better. I think I've got some ideas, but it's been getting better by itself also. So, bam. I guess that's all I have to push aside from this show. Chris, do you want to plug anything or something?
I don't really have anything.
I broke down fully and decided to buy all of the Makins for Malas, and I made a few of them already. So if you're watching this, you'll probably end up getting one. I made that one. I made this. I didn't make this one. I made a couple more. They're over there. I'm wearing my favorite one. It's Flamingo Friday. God damn it. By the way, I totally forgot that. Wearing my favorite model, my Flamingo shirt.
Flamingo Friday.
Hashtag Flamingo Friday.
I have my necklace.
My Flamingo pinky ring is in the other room, but I did wear it today, full disclosure. Whew. Now that that's all out of the way, we can close out the show.
And we're out of time.
Thanks again for watching and or listening. If you are now or in the future, which is still now. So, Krista, say goodbye, and we are out of here. Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody. We'll see you next time.
For the try to
Fistful of Podcasts Radio.